I represent from midnight to high noon.
YMCA, is in the YMCA. Hey,
What's up, everybody? It's Tim Heinen's Vinyl, your friendly neighborhood vinyl guy, back again. I have a stack of records I've been promising to show you from Foundation Records. So about a year ago, maybe a little over a year ago, Foundation moved from its tiny little spot. If anybody had been there before, or you've seen photos or video of it, it was small. Like, it was the size of a living room, dining room, maybe. I mean, maybe combined, depending on the size. It was a small space, and the records were well curated. The vintage clothing was always rotated. The stock always felt fresh. But there's only so much you can do in a small space like that. And so the Cohen brothers, who own it, wanted to expand. They tried to get the space next door. They tried to make a move on that, and that didn't pan through, or that didn't work out. So they moved about a quarter mile down the road to a different shopping location. Turned out to be a better location because it's got better foot traffic. It's more into the hub of where people would be in College Park in here in Orlando. So it turned out all around better. The magic of editing, we'll show you some video that I took of that first kind of weekend. Now, they've been there, like I said, a year. It's even more well curated. They have a lot of room. They've been getting a ton of 7-inches. And I don't mean like, your $3 and $4 fair 7-inches. We're talking like, Cure, Smiths, just incredible stuff. And it's, these guys have always done a great job in curating a shop. And they continue to grow. They continue to expand. They continue to add a little bit more of this, that touch of vintage, but without losing their sense of who they really are, which is vinyl records and vintage shirts and clothing. But they've added so much, and the space is broader. You can get a lot more people in there. There's a little seating area. It really fits them to a T, and they're doing so well. So I congratulate them. I was given a gift card not too terribly long ago for Father's Day. So I went in, obviously used that up in a mere moment, and threw some extra cash on top of that. But then I went back a couple days later with some trade because they had some stuff still that I had to leave behind, and paid a little extra on top of that. So I'm left with this stack. There is a lot of stuff in here that I don't always get to see. A lot of German pressed from the Brain label, whether it be Krautrock or Prague. And I'm kind of a sucker for the Brain label. If I see the Brain label, I kind of want it. So here we go. So let's dig in. I'll share the goods and give you some needle drops along the way. So we're going to start off with a four-pack from Grobschnitt. That's right, Grobschnitt. Say it with me, Grobschnitt. Make sure you pronounce it correctly. If not, the couch will start moving and your dog may levitate. They are a more Prague than Krautrock German band. This one is Volley Moly. Nice little gatefold there. This is a live release. This is what you heard at the beginning. Who knew there was German Prague disco? But I'll give you another taste of that here in a minute. This one is from 76. I'm sorry, 1980. I would learn to be a little bit more prepared for these things. We wouldn't have these problems. But wait, we're not done with the Grobschnitt. Jumbo. So Jumbo this one's from 1975. They got their start, I think, in the early 70s, if I remember correctly. I found out about this band through my not-so-twin Bill at the Vinylverse. He had picked something up from them and said, hey, you should check these guys out. And I did. So I've been trying to to find them. Problem is that, sorry, should have showed the label, also on Brain, but this is the more traditional olive green Brain label. The problem with finding this stuff is that you can find it all day long if you live in Europe, but here in the States, not so much. And right now, shipping from the Europe is either no or crazily expensive. So we're not going to go down that route. Another from Grobschnitt, and this one is Rock Pommel's Land, and this one is from 77. So another a little bit later. And again, this one's also a gatefold. Man, the covers are awesome, right? Very Roger Dean-esque, if you will. I mean, that just screams fun. Let's look at it. Better Living Through Chemistry, and off to the wonders we go. And then lastly, from Grobschnitt, this was the one that I was most familiar with, and when I saw this was the first one I grabbed. And this is Solar Music Live. So this one also is a gatefold. This one's on the that tan gold Brain label, if you will. There's the gatefold. I mean, wouldn't you want to go see that in concert? I know I do. I all day long. But I know what you're saying. You're saying, Tim, I don't know who the hell Grobschnitt is. They don't sound like something that my classic rock radio station would be playing on a regular basis. And you would be absolutely correct. This is obviously not your standard everyday fare for radio stuff here. But, let's dig in. I'm going to give you some samples from each one of these. I'll give you the titles below. I wouldn't try to pronounce some of these because you may turn it into a pumpkin or a bat or something. I don't know. But I'm really fond of this stuff. This is just a level of off-center weirdness, great musicianship that I love to find. So here is some samples from the 4 that I showed you from Grobschnitt. And now to a debut record that needs no introduction. Dire Straits. What else do you need to say, right? Dire Straits, Sultans of Swing, fantastic debut. I mean, it's classic. It's a classic I didn't have, but it's classic nonetheless. But now I have it, and I've enjoyed it, and I love it. I'm glad to have it, and, need more Dire Straits in my life. So there we go. Back to the German stuff, Jane, and this is Lady. This was 76, 75. So again, on that Olive Brain label. Jane definitely early on, I want to say late 60s, if not very early 70s, definitely more of the krautrock influenced, like New and Kraftwerk and those types of things. But as they evolved, their sound did change a little bit. I have a later record from Jane. Still good, not as good as this one. I found this one a lot more enjoyable. Again, another German press, great gatefold. And I know what you're saying. Again, Tim, I don't know who Jane is. So could you school me? Could you play a little Jane? Absolutely. Here's some Jane for you. Anderson, Bruford, Wakeman, and Howe. What else needs to be said, right? The cover obviously fits the mood of the records that I picked up, but I had this one on tape when it came out back in the 80s and played the death out of it, but never actually had it on vinyl, and I found a clean copy there at Foundation, so it had to come home with me. Is this their best? No. I would still rather listen to this than the new Yes. You come at me in the comments if you will. To me, if it wasn't Chris Squire or if it wasn't John Anderson, preferably both, it wasn't Yes. Yes, there was a time that John Anderson wasn't in the band, but the band kept going and they had some good stuff, right? I mean, Drama's a great album, but there was something still there. That element was still there. And it's when you put those elements together, it just continues to work. Now, even though this doesn't have Chris Squire, you've still got a hell of a bassist. I believe, if I remember correctly, Tony Martin plays on this one, and not mad at that either. So, but all in all, another for the Yes collection, absolutely beyond myself happy to have it. We don't need to have an introduction with that one. I think anybody who knows it knows it. And then if you know me, I absolutely love the CTI label. Let's get rid of the glare. So this is a comp of Stanley Turrentine. It's called the Baddest Turrentine. I had probably half of this already, but again, it's CTI and it was in their $5 bin. So I'm gonna grab it. I'm gonna give you a taste of sugar on this one. Who doesn't like a little sugar? But I really do. I can't highly recommend CTI label enough. Some great jazz, soul jazz, a little bit of jazz funk, a little bit of jazz fusion. There's so much there. You know, Bob James was on the label for a while. So many people went to that label as kind of as an offshoot in the 70s. There's just so much incredible music there. It's worth checking out. So, but here's a taste of Stanley Turrentine from this one called Sugar. And then lastly, but certainly not leastly, what a word? Novalis. I'm sure everybody will tell me how I'm pronouncing it wrong. Again, now this, I don't think I've ever seen a Black Brain label before, but again, it's still Brain, so I'm a sucker for it. This one is Samarala Band. I don't read well. I don't speak well. I barely put pants on well. This one was 75, 76, if I'm not mistaken. 76, yeah. I don't know if this was a first press or a reissue on that Black Brain label, but again, this is a German press. I found this one rather enjoyable from Novalis. And again, there was a couple there, and familiar with them, but I, streamed songs or things and just kind of jumped in. But this was the one that I was the most excited about, and probably the one I knew the most, and that is their debut. Maybe this isn't their debut because this is from 77, or at least this pressing is, but this is a Japanese pressing. And how do I know it's a Japanese pressing? Is that it's on the yellow Brain Metronome label, but it also came with the Japanese insert. That's so cool. I mean, let's just look at that. Wouldn't you just love to have some of those on Japanese press? Isn't that cool? I don't know a lick of what this is saying, but it's cool to have. And this one absolutely was fantastic. It was probably one of my favorite pickups of the day. That I was there. I could not wait to get this one home, cleaned and on the turntable. This one was definitely the first one I jumped in and really loved it. So, but again, I know what you're saying. Tim, we don't know Novalis. I got you. Here's a couple cuts. I can lose a
I du complete that and plötzlich klang und bang vor ihm. Schweigt umher allein und irre.
So there we are. My most recent haul from Foundation. I do have other stuff from them. I've been a few times, but this is my most recent haul. I just, time has not been on my side this year. I keep saying with good intentions, hey, I'm going to show this in a couple of weeks or a week or two. It doesn't happen. It's been a very crazy 9 months. God, it's already September. We don't need to get into anything that's going on. If you have eyes, you can see it. A lot of it has been weighing very heavy on me. I just not getting into the weeds on a lot of things. It's just been a lot of things going on and a lot of things in my head. So I say all that to say sometimes we have to take a break, whether it's from this or reality, whatever it is you have to do. You have to be able to say, my plate's full, my mental health is important, and you have to do with, for you, what's important for you. So hopefully you can. And if you can't, say something. Reach out. Let somebody listen. Not trying to turn this into a PSA, but we're all under an incredible amount of stress and an incredible amount of uncertainty. And we do these things like listen to records or share music or share our passions as kind of an escape. So make time for it when you can, but if you can't, it's okay. Just make sure that you're not harming yourself by not giving yourself time to enjoy the things you love. So I hope to be back soon. I've got another stack of stuff that I have ready to go right over here. I have lots of stuff over here that I'm still processing and listening to. If you'd like to keep up with me on a little bit more of a regular basis, if you're on Instagram, I'm not going to be one of those people that's going to start peddling Instagram and like and subscribe and all that. It's just never been me. But if you are on Instagram and would like to follow me, I try to post up what I'm listening to that day or a couple things a day. I try to spin something and I try to, just interact there. And it's also a great place if you want to just message me and say hi. You can message me because they have that instant messenger thing on Instagram. It's High Noons Vinyl. I'll leave it below. Feel free. If not, that's cool. It does. I'm not looking for. I've never been one to farm for subs or likes or anything. I just like talking to people sometimes. So hopefully you're doing well. We are in the throes of heading towards fall, which means it'll be less hot here in Florida. But hopefully you will start to see some beautiful seasons change wherever you are. If not, and you're still going to be in the heat, I'm right there with you. With that being said, love you all. Thanks for watching. We'll talk soon. Peace.